Mark McAdam back with us. We're going to turn our attention to Chelsea, the big spenders of this January transfer window, isn't it? 5 signings. OK, how does this impact them? Right, they've spent over £400 million across 2 windows so far. It does beg the question, how are they getting around financial fair play rules?
It's the one question that every single football fan is asking us at the moment. How are they doing it? Now, it's important to remember that when it comes to FFP, financial fair play, it's done in a cycle which is over 3 seasons. And it's all about the success, it's all about the money they generate, the TV income they receive, and of course transfer fees as well. So there's loads of little things that all make up the FFP regulations about what you can and can't do. And of course, the more success you have, the more money you make, the more you can spend. And it's done over a 3-year cycle. Now, for example, when Chelsea won the Champions League in 2021, that generated the club around £120 million alone, just from Champions League income. That doesn't include the Premier League, that doesn't include commercial, that doesn't include ticket sales, match day revenue. So you can see just by winning the Champions League and being successful, that's meant a lot of money coming into the football club, which has enabled them to go and spend a lot of money. The important thing to remember when it comes to transfers as well is it's done over the length of the contract. Hence why you're seeing Chelsea dishing out 6, 7, 8-year contracts, because what it means is that the transfer fees that are being paid and the wages that the player is receiving is spread over a much longer period of time. Therefore, it goes over more of their FFP cycles, their 3-year cycles. So therefore, it means instead of having a big chunk of money going out in one cycle, it's being spread over a much longer period, which is how they're getting around their FFP. But the key to it really is that they've been so successful over the last few years that they've made a lot of money, therefore they can spend a lot of money. And just to put it in context as well with regards to this season in the Premier League, it's crucial really that Chelsea get into the Champions League financially. We had Kieran Maguire on Sky Sports News yesterday, and one of the things that he said was that when you're in the Champions League, you get just say for example, you get around £4.50 per thing in the Champions League. When you look at the Europa League, it's worth £1. So 4 or 5 times more money for getting into the Champions League than you do the Europa League. That's why finishing in the top 4 is crucial, not just for Chelsea, but for all of those sides that are battling it out to try and get into Europe.
OK, I've got...
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That was my lesson to you.
I'm processing, because I know I'm bottom of the class.
Process away.
Already today. So I got my head around that one. What I'm trying to get my head around is Premier League, yeah, but to some extent. But Champions League, the squad is restricted. This squad now, with all these new arrivals, I don't want to use the word bloated, but looks overpopulated.
Say bloated.
OK, so how do they get around this? Because they've got the round of 16 match next month against Borussia Dortmund. Can they get all these players into their squad?
They can, and I'll explain why. These are the players that Chelsea have signed in this transfer window. Benoit Badiashile from Monaco for £35 million, Andre Santos for 18, Fofana for 10, João Felix on loan, £9.7 million, and then the big one there at the bottom, Mykhailo Mudryk, £88.5 million, taking their total spend in this January transfer window to £161.2 million. I'm going to read you out one of the rules with regards to Champions League squads, and then this will start to make it a little bit clear as to how all these players will play in the Champions League for the second phase of the season. As of the round of 16, a club may register a maximum of 3 new eligible players for the remaining matches in the current competition. Such registration must be completed by the 2nd of January 2023 at the latest. The deadline cannot be extended. Each club is entitled to register an unlimited number of players on List B during the season. Now, List B is players born after January 2001, which means they're under the age of 22. Now, let's look at this graphic here. Benoit Badiashile, 21. Andre Santos, 18. Fofana, 20. Mykhailo Mudryk, 22, born on January the 5th, 2001. So those players will all go into Chelsea's B list, which means they don't go into that initial 25-man squad. They can still play in the Champions League, but they don't take up a place, crucially, in the 25-man squad. So that's how all these players can still play for Chelsea in the Champions League when it comes to their registration. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I got you. And I was in maths set 6, and I'm trying to keep up with this. Right, if we look at their squad then, so does this get impacted here? Who has to miss out?
Well, significantly, there are, you know, like you rightly said, a big squad for Graham Potter to choose from. These are the players at his disposal. You can see the positions. There's a lot of strength in depth there, Rob. And Chelsea fans could probably argue all day about the types of squad that they'd like, the players they'd like, who they'd rather let go, in what positions, who's the best centre-half, who's the best goalkeeper. I think the one thing that Graham Potter has right now is that he has a lot of options. It's also important to point out that they have a series of injuries as well. There are a lot of players there that aren't quite fully fit at the moment. They're battling things on the treatment table, and that's going to be significant. But Chelsea are still in the market, potentially to strengthen in this January transfer window. We know that this is an area that they're looking at because of injuries to Brozier, but they would like to add through the middle as a number 9. So that's the list of potential players that he has to select from. And let's be honest, I think most Chelsea fans would say that's quite good. They're quite satisfied with that. Maybe 1 or 2 new players, but I think that's a very strong list. Are you agreeing?
My opinion counts for absolutely nothing, Mark.